Okay. So where did we stop? Where did that thing get cut?
Image source.
Image source. Okay. I'm going to remove all of this. So what we just input a heading one here. We tested the other headings and commented them out, and the image. So with image, let me remove all of this and make my screen smaller. So we go to live server here. Okay, I'm going to refresh this. Okay, this is where we are. So next we are going to put an image here. We just type img for image tag and take enter. Next we are going to see source. Source is your reference, the name of your image, or the location, the full path of your image, and the out. Alternative name, that's in case you have network issue. If there's a doc here and I save, you see this. But if there's nothing here and you have network issue, you won't even know there's an image here. So that's the use of this out. So let's select an image now. To select an image, you can just say dot slash. It's going to give you the path, the folder where you are located. This is the folder where you are located, and you can select your image here. In case you want to go out of this folder, maybe for example, this is the folder where I'm coding, I'm writing my website, and I need to select an image from this other folder out of this folder. What I do is I use dot slash says go out of the folder. So this is the folder where I was. Dot slash will go out, so you give me everything on the same route as my folder. So this is the second. I can click on this second now and select any image, but this image here is not good. This image is not good, so it won't go up there. So I'm going to select another image in the current folder. So I can select good image and save. So it's very big, it's always very big. Let me put an alternative image. Let me say HTML CSS. That's an alternative name in case it doesn't show up, maybe network issue and any other issue show like this. Control S. Okay, now the image is very big. You can see it's so big, so we can resize it using the HTML attribute. Width equal, let's give it 300 pixels. Px is the unit for measuring screen size, so let's give it 300 pixel and Control S. You see how big it is. You can also give it, if you give it a width, the height will automatically resize, or if you give it the height, for example, height, the width will automatically resize to have the same aspect ratio. Control S. So it has made the height now to be 500 pixels. So the width will be something different from 500 pixels, but it's going to automatically do it for you. So what I want now is, let's write a small heading, maybe heading 3, and we can put maybe this is a poem written by cohort 11 leader. So let's save it. Control S. So see heading 3 as the way it's smaller than heading 1. Okay, the next thing I want to do is, let's put a paragraph here. A paragraph is just a p tag, and if you take enter, it gives you the opening and the closing tag. So the paragraph can contain any text. Let's use lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum, once you type this, it tells there's a dummy text. I don't actually know what it means, but programmers use it a lot if you want to fill text on something. Once you type this and select this, it's going to fill it for you with dummy text. I don't know what it means. Let's make it longer than this. Let's add it again. Lorem ipsum. Let's do double. Okay, and let me save. Control S. Now let's see how it looks like in full screen. It's too long and I don't want it to be this long. I want it to cut somewhere, maybe somewhere here on the first line, then second line maybe somewhere here. So let's do that, and we're going to do that with a break, BR. We're going to do that with a break, BR. So I'm going to cut it here, this MODI. Let me look for the MODI. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Control F. I'm looking for that MODI. Okay, this is it. So after this MODI, I'm going to cut it with a BR, which is break, BR, written like this. The space doesn't matter, even if you put thousands of spaces here, HTML will combine it to one space. The space doesn't matter. So we can actually put a line there. Let me show you how it looks like. You can actually put this break and start on a new line so that it looks appealing. So if I shift this and let me save, so you can see after this mode it has a break. So let me cut this next one here after this NEQEU. I'm going to look for it. Let me search it. NEQEU. Okay, I'm going to put a break here. PR and enter. So this is how it looks like. I'm going to cut it somewhere again, make it again smaller. I'm going to cut it. Let me save it first. Ctrl S. Okay, I'm going to cut it after this. So I'm going to cut it here. BR and let me take enter and let me save. Let me cut it somewhere here again. Somewhere here. Okay, cutting here. BR, Control S. Okay, so you see how it is now. You see how it is. I've used break to cut it. Okay, I'm going to use a quoted text now to put something inside. Let me use a block quote. I'm going to use a block quote inside this paragraph. Let me just use a block quote inside the paragraph. Control V, and this block quote will contain the same lorem ipsum text. Because I don't have anything to put there, but let me just put this demo text. This is the block quote. And let me save. Control S. And let me make it bigger. So if you see a block quote, the way it displays, it gives a quote, a paragraph from the normal text. It gives a space to show that it's a block quote. That's how block quotes work. So under this our heading, let's put a rule there, a line, a long line there. The line is called horizontal rule, which is HR, just like that, and press enter. Then if I save, you are going to see the long line. The line is there. Let's put a link. We're going to put a link now that will link us to Skyline YouTube channel, or a link that will link us to my YouTube channel. Before the link, I'm going to put another rule, another line, HR, and save. Please, somebody should mute that person talking.
Alright, I'll do that.
I've put another rule here. If we look at it, is there? This is the rule. Okay, let's put a link under this rule to say okay. The link is anchor tag, a tag. Once you take a and enter, you have the tags for link. So what the user is going to be seeing goes in here. Click, let me right click here to go to YouTube. Then here will give you this place. Now is like the source from, if you are looking at the image tag, this is like the source, this is the source, it fetches the image. So this href now will be like the source too, it fetches the link. So this now will have the full link of the YouTube channel. Let me open my YouTube channel and copy the link here, youtube.com. Okay, this is my channel. Okay, let me copy the link of this my project. Okay, let me make it smaller again. Okay, the link will go here. Copy the full link, Ctrl V. Okay, so let's save it, Ctrl S. Sorry, Ctrl S, and let's see how it looks like. This is the link. If you can see it very well, you see it here. This is the link. Okay, I want to give some spaces at the bottom so that it will come up. We'll be able to scroll. What should I put there? Let me put another image. Another image is going there again. IMG. Stop. And my image. My image. The source should be something like. Let me look for an image to put there. Let me not get copyrighted images. Let me get my image. Okay, I have an image. Let me call it Torrents. Save inside here. Okay, I've saved the image. Let me go to my code and call it /. I save the image in my working folder, so this should be it. And if I save, that is the image. Now the image is still too big. The image is too big, and if you look at this image and my link, you see that they are side by side, but I need this image to come under, because they are side by side, because this is not a block. This thing is not a block element. A block element must take the whole space like a paragraph, but these ones are inline block element. That's why they are side by side. I'm going to put a break in between this link and the image. So to put a break, this is the link, this is the image. I just come here and put BR, and if I take save, Ctrl S, see what happens. It goes under. So I want to resize my image to be maybe 200 pixels. Let me say image width. Just use either width or height and give it a small width or small height. 200 pixels. Ctrl S. it has gone down. It has gone down. Okay, I think let me add some few images on this line, then we can start styling it with CSS. If I finish adding these images now, any question you can ask, then we enter CSS to make it look beautiful. Let me check if I have some more images. Okay, let me use this one. I'm using square images. Okay. See. Let me look for the images. Let me just check their location. Let me take this one. I don't even know where I saved those images. Desktop code. Okay, they're entering inside my folder. Okay, I'm going back to my project. Fine, let me add another image. So adding another image is the same like adding img. The source will be /. All of them are images. All the images I downloaded are now here. I can take, let me select the first one and save, Ctrl S. Look at it. Let me resize it with to 200 pixels. Ctrl S. It's now smaller. Let me put another one. img /. To enter the folder, let me put the second one. This alternative, you may not put it and you may put it. If you are sure it's coming up, but it's always good to put it. But let me say width 200 pixels. This is the third image, and it's there. And let me put the last image. img. Which image am I putting? /. Let me save. I've not resized this last image, so it's going to be very big. Let me resize it now. With 200 pixels. Okay, so this is how it looks like now. We're going to, let's check our link. Click here to go to YouTube. If you click here, it's taking you to YouTube. But now the issue we're having is if you click here and it's taking you to YouTube, it's going to close our website. That is going to open the YouTube on our website, and we don't really want that. So we're going to use _blank on this link, on this A tag. We're going to use an attribute. This is the A tag for the link, for this link. Target. Once you start target, you see it. If you take enter, they're going to give you like this. Then they're going to give you options, either self, parent, top. By default, it's self. By default, that's why if you open it, it opens on itself. But if you take _blank and we save, what happens is if you click here now, it's going to open our channel. Let me close all of this. It's going to open our channel on this empty space. It's going to add another tab for our channel, so our website will not close. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See, this is my website and this is our page now. So I'm closing this. So I think we can start styling now. But before we start styling, I don't know if there's any question on this. This is plain HTML, no style at all.
Uzoma job is you can go on.
Yes, thank you, my able leader. Thank you, Mr. Teres, for the wonderful presentation so far. Okay, sorry, can you go back to your VS Code? I wanted to ask a question from there.
Okay, I have my
Mr. Teres, please.
I have my VS Code here.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, it's back. Okay, like from the starting, your file of your document, you started with start.html. Okay, I want to know, before you started, did you save it? Did you save the file, sorry, the folder in your laptop first, or you just started at once from the VS Code?
Let me see who is talking.
Right.
Please, who is talking?
Okay, it's Uzoma John.
Okay, it looks like you were not in our last two classes.
Yes, actually, I was not.
Okay.
So I'm just
Let me quickly answer your question.
going through the recap.
Let me quickly answer your question. In the last class, I mentioned that if you are starting a project, you must first of all create the folder on your, maybe anywhere on your computer, just that folder. For example, I create a folder here called new project. You must create it. You don't go to VS Code first. New project is saved on my desktop. Then I go to VS Code. Anywhere I am, even if projects are open here, the highest thing to do is to close it from here, this top. Even if you don't close it, for example, let me leave it open. You can just come to File, take Open. My own has opened at the back, so let me minimize this, and as I'm opening, I'm taking the new folder project, which I'm going to select, which I'm going to save my files. Open. So it has opened on VS Code. This is how it opens. So the next thing I'm going to do is, if I want to create my first page, maybe start.html, I'm going to click here, new file. If I want to create another folder into this folder, I'm going to click here. So this is what I actually did, but I didn't do that today. I did it the other day. So people who were there the other day knew what I did. I just went to that same file we have created, start.html, for example, and enter. This is my start.html. So I can start coding from here. I've made an error. That's why these things did not come up. I made my error in renaming this. Rename HTML. HTML. Enter. Yes. So I can start coding from here. So Mr. Uzoma, I don't know if your question is answered.
Yes, it's very answer. I wanted to be very clear if we can also, because I know from what Steinlein gave us, he created so many folders and he started his phone with page.html. So
yeah,
I wanted to be sure
anything.html. Anything.html.
Okay.
Anything. It's just that name, that page name is the name he's giving his page. I can call it index, I can call it my name, but it must have .html. That's why when I made an error and this thing did not have HTML, I wrote HTLM and I took enter. This, you couldn't identify it as HTML. Maybe if I delete this now, maybe it's seeing it as HTML now because I've written HTML before. Look at the name here, the previous name was there before, but it will not identify it as HTML. Your live server will not run it. So I don't know if there's any other question.
Yes, Tony, please go ahead and ask your question. Tony.
Okay. Thanks very much, Terence. My question is, you used a lot of short code here. I don't know. I did see other short codes, and how do you come about,
What
laying all those short codes
what
off
do you mean
once?
by short code?
Like BR for break,
HR
HR for,
for horizontal
yeah,
line. Okay.
exactly.
But Mr. Skyline has used this one, this shortcut also. All these ones I'm using now. I'm sure he has used it. I'm just going by what he has used before. Have you seen him using them?
Yes, yes, he has.
So I'm just letting you so that you know it's not new. But there are so many elements, so many. Me myself, I don't think I know all of them. I don't think I know all of them. But the truth is, you don't need to know all of them. If you want to code, maybe as you are learning, you see different ways of coding. There are sometimes you don't need to use, if you don't even need to use paragraph, you don't even need to use heading. Your CSS alone will style it for you. Your CSS alone will make it a paragraph one, a heading one. Your CSS alone will make it a paragraph. Your CSS alone will make it so many things. Sometimes, if let me go back to my folder. Let's see. Let me open my project back. Let's see what we are doing. Start.html. Okay, this is my project. Okay, very soon now, if by the time we've learned more of CSS, what we'll start doing is we'll learn professional way of coding. If you need a paragraph or maybe a heading one, for example, all your tags will be divs. You see div now. Div is just like it's a container. It doesn't tell it is a paragraph. It doesn't tell it is a heading. Okay, let me write something inside. This is a div. Just look at this div. You will use it so often, more than any other element. I think it's very important. It's not going to change the size of your text. Not going to do anything to it. But if you add CSS to it now, you have what you want. This is a div. Let me save it. I'm still taking questions, but I'm coming. This is a div. I'm going to close this and I'll open it. Open that. Can anybody hear me? Okay, I've closed WhatsApp web. Okay, so what I was trying to say is, if we go to our project, this div I've written now. If we go to our project, this is it. Hope you can see it.
Yeah.
This is it. Okay, now we can go to, let me just put the inline style here. Style, I'm coming to this. Just look at what I'm doing. Style, let me give it color red, semicolon, and color red. Let me save it first. You see the way it's now red. See the way it's now red. So we learned that if we want to make a text bold, we can do strong. We can use strong. For example, you use strong. This text is bold. This strong. This is what I've written now. It makes a text bold. So Control S. Look at it. This text is bold. So now I'll make this this is a div to be bold, but I didn't give it strong. I'll use CSS to say font weight colon bold, then I save. So it's now see it's bold. So most times when we get to learn, maybe from next class we'll start using div. We'll not be mixing tags like using strong, use paragraph. We can just use div for all our paragraph. Then our CSS will now tell what we want it to look like, whether bold or italics. If I want to make this is my div italics, I'll come in my CSS and do font decoration, no, text decoration, what is the italics form again? I've forgotten italics, but if you ever forget any tag, just go to Google, CSS text italics, just put the keywords there. Font style, font style, I made an error. Font style italics. If I save it now, let me save it, Ctrl S. See, this is now in italics, but what we used here initially was div. We're using CSS to style all those things. I'm going to remove this, or I can still comment it, but we don't need it. Let me comment it. Angle bracket open, exclamation minus minus, then at the end of it minus minus angle bracket, and save. I'm going to remove this strong here because I don't need it, but better still, let me look for my quote and maybe put strong, make something strong. Let me make all of this to be bold so that we can use the tag as well. I just want to make that bold so that we can use all the tags we have been taught to use. Let me use it here. This is strong, remember you must have an opening and a closing bracket. Yes. Okay, so I've made this thing, I've saved it. You can see this is bold now. Okay, I don't like the way this my quoted text is long, so I need to cut it somewhere here. After this providence, I need to cut it somewhere. My block quote, let me cut it. Cutting it, I use BR, and this one doesn't have an opening or closing tag. Once I put BR and take, let me do side by side. Okay, let me save this so it has cut itself. Just make sure it's okay, and I'm going to cut it after I've consequent or something. I'm going to cut it here again. BR. Okay, so if I extend it, you're going to see the way it has cut itself.
No, before you go on, I think there are a couple of people that questions.
Yes. Yes.
Should I call them up?
Yes, I've done. Yeah, call them up. I've done what I wanted to do.
Okay. Tony, please, can you ask your question? Tony, can you ask your question?
Uh,
No, I've asked my question.
wait,
I've
okay,
asked my question. You can answer.
Tony was
Okay,
also
okay.
asking. Tony was also asking that how did I know all these texts, all these elements, and so on. The elements, they are just as I'm doing this one now. If you see it tomorrow, you remember it, and you may not forget it again. So it takes practice. You don't need to memorize them, but sometimes you just get used to them as you're using them.
Okay.
Maxwell, do you have a question? Raise your hand.
Yeah, I have a question. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Alright, so from what you stated in the body, which contains different tag elements, the break line, the horizontal ruler and co, there's one that is strange to me there that I can't really code what it really means. The block quotes.
Okay.
What significant function does it have in the text there, please?
I've never
The
used
block quotes.
I've never used block quotes in my life before. I only saw it inside Mr. Skyline's notes. So the block quotes just tells your browser that this is like, how do we call it, like a poem. It gives it a kind of distance from the main margin to make it separate or different from the normal text. But you know, one importance of using all these elements as you are supposed to use them. If you are doing a website which is maybe it's a recommendation, you need the website to have high SEO, sorry, this search engine optimization. All these search engine, when they go into your page, they look into all these codes to get what they want. Very soon we'll learn page formatting, such that inside this HTML element, the first thing you have is header. You have your header here, then you have maybe your main. I've never used this before, but I know how to use it, and you have your footer. Even if you don't use this, even if you use div like I showed you, you can also use div and format it using HTML the way you want. But when you are doing SEO, some people must have heard about SEO, search engine optimization, so that if somebody goes to Google and type maybe you are selling clothes called, maybe you're selling clothes and the name of your clothes is cohort 11. Somebody goes to the browser on Google and type clothes cohort 11. It will easily it can rank your site as one of the top sites, such that people can easily visit them. It's not going to go to the last. That's if your site is built in this format, such that if you have a request to your site, SEO request, the SEO comes to your site and checks the main, and it knows what it's looking for. If it's something from the header, it goes directly to the header. It's not for us, it's just for SEO, to ease their SEO something. But I've never used it, I know how to use it. So that is just it. I don't know if I answered your question. This block quote, I can format this with CSS in a different way. Maybe write a block of text, add the margin to make it shift from the wall. Then maybe if it's italics, I put it italics and put quote. You understand? But I can format it that way, but
Alright.
SEO prefers this.
Alright, thanks very much. The break line and the block code, is there any distinctive difference between the both of them?
Break line, this is break line, this line here.
And the block code, is there any distinctive difference between the both of them?
The block quote is what makes this.
Any unique differences?
There's a very big difference. They are not the same thing. The block quote is what is holding this paragraph now. This Lorem Ipsum paragraph. That's what shifted it out of this margin. It's the block quote. If I remove the block quote now, it's going to be like a normal paragraph like this. I don't know if you understood me. The break line is
Yeah,
okay.
I get.
Screen is starting to. Is it moving?
My screen. I think my screen is moving now.
Your screen doesn't. Your screen doesn't sync with what you are showing.
Yeah, I
Your
know.
screen doesn't sync with what.
Yes, I do. I want to download. I want to copy a poem, such that if I paste on my screen, somebody will know the difference between what is there and. Since everything is Lauren Ipsum, or let me leave it. Since everything is Lauren Ipsum, it may disturb some people. But it's okay. I don't know if I answered the previous person's question. Break line BR is what makes this text to break from here. It didn't extend to the end. Another break line is here. That's why it did not extend to the end of this page. But block quote is what is holding all of this paragraph. It just makes it shift from the wall. And if you are running SEO understand that this is actually a block quote. And if it's looking for information in block quotes, it's going to, okay, this is a block quote, this is an information in block quotes. Let me index it to the user. Any other question? Any other question?
Okay, in absence of any other question, I want to, because I can't see how long we still have left for this class, but I want to reconfirm from everyone if we are cool with another link, like if we are cut off again, whether it's okay for me to create a third link for us to continue the class, because I think we have to finish this up so that everybody can prepare their own project. So that tomorrow we'll just need to finalize everything, because we can't keep repeating ourselves over and over again.
Yes, please.
I can't
Mr. Black.
Yes,
Please.
yes.
Yes, it's okay by me.
Please, I beg you, please. So, continue.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Mayor, please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so what I was saying is we're going to enter CSS now to style this. There's no CSS here at all. So before we enter CSS, I want to make this italics so that it looks different and put quotes there. I'll use Q for quotes. I'll use Q for quotes. This is inside the block quote. I'm going to use the smaller quote. This is a smaller quote, just called Q. Q like this. You know, everything you are putting in an element will be inside the element. So let me save it and see what it looks like. Let me save it and see what this paragraph looks like. Okay, it did not change. I want to put this Q out of the block quote so that it should embody everything including the block quote. And I save, Control S. Okay, it did not change anything, no problem. Let me change it to italics, emphasize.
No, Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor.
I can hear you.
What the block
Okay.
is supposed to do is to put it in quotation mark. Check you use
yeah.
the closing tag.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
Okay. Control S. It still did not go, but let me, since Q, like I said, is for SEO, you make it italics, but I can actually give it my own italic, which is emphasize.
But actually, at some point, it was in quotation mark. I saw it.
At some point,
for like a second or two.
Really, let me go back.
Yes.
Let me go back. Let me go back. Let's know what is causing it.
Yes, yes, yes. It's not in quotation mark. Can you see it?
My quotation
Okay.
box, yes.
Yes, it's quotation. Yes. Then I have to make it italics. I was talking about quotation and still talking about italics at the same time. You know, to make something italics, you embody everything in EM, emphasis. Okay. I think it was already in. Was it italics already?
Yes, I think it's italics now.
Okay.
It's italics now.
I wanted to confirm something. I just embodied everything in this EM tag to make it emphasize, which is italics, so that our page can just look somehow different. Okay, so I'm going to go into CSS now. So this thing I've done here, where is that thing? I've deleted it. Let me remove this one. Okay, we have three types of CSS, three types of ways to write CSS. We have inline CSS, we have external CSS, and we have internal CSS. Okay, so let me use this to do an example. Let me write a text after this image so that it will be very visible to us. Let me write. Let me just put it a paragraph, and let me write the test CSS and save. So this is it. This is the paragraph I just put now. I'm still checking the meeting if it has ended.
No, it's still on. It's still on.
Okay, I'm going to use internal CSS to give a style to this. Internal CSS, you go by CSS is a style, so you say style. Once you type style, it's going to give you this. Either you click or you press enter. Style equal to, it goes property and value, property and value, semicolon, property and value, semicolon. That's property and value, semicolon. Okay, let me give it a color of color. To text color is just called text, is just called color, not text color. Color, you give it a column there. Let me give the color to light pink. Light pink. Enter. So let me save it. Look at it. Let me save it. It is light pink. Let me make it red. So let me give it after the first property and value, you put a semicolon to show you have entered that, so you can start another one. Maybe give it weight, font weight. Font weight is if you want to make it bold or not. Font weight bold. Control S. So you see it's now bold. Okay, I don't know where this thing cut us off. So where did we end? I know I was
Hello,
somewhere.
Terence.
Yes.
Please, I hope you're recording.
Yeah, I think.
Yes, I'm recording. I'm recording. I don't know where this thing cut us off. So I know I was somewhere around here. I was somewhere around here. So I don't know what I did before it cut us off.
You just added the text CSS. That's what you just did
Okay.
before it went off.
Okay.
Text CSS.
I had not put any color.
No, you just type it and it appeared under the picture.
Okay, it was like this. Okay, I think I know what you mean. So what I'm saying is, with inline CSS, we come inline of the elements. You just open the first tag of the element inside the first tag. Not here, not here, not here, not here. We come inside the first tag and type style. Mute somebody, please, and type style. When you type style, it's going to appear under like this. You press enter. This is the right way to write it, even though you are pressing enter, but you should know this is the right way to write it. So let me save this first. So we're going to give this a color of red. So it goes like this: the property and the value. Property, value. There are so many properties. I myself, I don't know all of them. There are so many. So let's give a color of red. Color, which is the property, colon, to separate the property and the value. Color red. Then if you save it, it's going to work. This is it. But if you are adding another property again, maybe you want to add, let's make it bold. To add another property, you need to use semicolon to separate this one. It's just like full stop in English. You can end your statement without putting full stop, but if you are starting another statement, you need to put that full stop so that somebody reading it will understand that, oh, this statement actually ends here. It works with CSS too. So use a semicolon to make sure you have entered the previous line. So semicolon can give a space, it doesn't matter, but it makes it clear. Let's do font weight, which is the making it bold. Font weight. Bold. And save. Yes.
Your screen is starting. Okay.
Please, can somebody confirm that? Is my screen starting?
Yes, your screen is starting. Yes, I don't know what to do.
Is my screen static?
Yes, it is.
Okay, let me stop sharing and share again. Please make sure you can see my screen. Confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
But please, before you continue, can I say this?
Yes, continue.
Please, concerning this session, I don't really have much information about it, and I just hope that the whole thing is recorded.
I'm recording.
Alright, thank you.
Okay. So this is inline CSS. I've just added I've given the font weight, which is bold. Okay, let me add something again. Font size, let me make it bigger. Enter doesn't matter in HTML. I mean, space doesn't matter. So font size here is font size. I can take enter, give it maybe 50 pixels. See the size of this now. Control S. See how big it is. So let's make it 30 pixels. So most of these things is just by try and error. You do and see what it gives you. Control S. If it looks appealing, fine. That is 30 pixels. Let's do 35 pixels so that you see how big it is. See how big it is. Let's do 5 pixels. 5. And see how small it is. So that is CSS for you. Is styling it. Let's make it 25. The normal default is 16 pixels. That's the default. But let's make it 25 pixels. You see how big it is. So this is inline CSS. But if you keep writing this, let's assume we want to style this heading, style this paragraph. You see that your work will just be so crowded. You cannot even understand. Even you who wrote the code, it will be very confusing. So there's another way of writing CSS called internal CSS, but not inline CSS. So we're going to transfer the CSS to it. let's come to our heading, to our head. Sorry, CSS CSS will go into our head. Let's come to our head and put the internal CSS. So we're still going to write, CSS must go into a style, so we're still going to write style like this. Now it's going to be a tag, not style equal to anymore like what we had here, style equal to this. No, because this is internal. But now we're going to write style like a tag. Where is it? Okay, I'm going to write style like a tag like this. Let me just give space so that all our code can go here. I'm going to transform this inline CSS to internal CSS, but before then let me make another paragraph here, P, and call it test CSS. Still, let me still call it test CSS. So you see the difference. This is internal CSS, this is inline CSS, which I've used to style this one. You can use your comments here. You can use your comments here if it's going to confuse you. Styled with inline CSS, that is comment, and Control X. Let me move there. I'm trying to differentiate it even from the code. And this is style with internal CSS. So we're going to style this one with internal CSS, this one here now, which is this. So styling with internal CSS, we'll come here. This is my style, internal CSS. Style, sometimes style go very generic. For example, if I use P and I do this is how it's internal CSS styling is, like just like this. And inside here you write your property and value. So this is how it goes. You write property, maybe color, semicolon, colon, and a green. That is it. See, it is green. But if you notice, this one is also green. If you check, if any paragraph we have will be green, this one did not turn to green because we side it red. There is a precedence. HTML will look from which one has the highest precedence. Inline CSS is considered more, let's say, more important than internal CSS or external CSS. That's to say, this one is a paragraph. I've told my CSS that style all paragraph to green. So all paragraph, put it green. But it did not change this one. This is because this internal CSS HTML will recognize it first before this inline. HTML will recognize it first before coming to the internal CSS. That's why this one still remains the color given to it below. Okay, let's make it, let's write, let's give it bold. Let's make it bold. To write the next property and value, must put a semicolon to differentiate it. You can write it on the same line. Font weight, you can actually select it bold, Control S. See, it is now bolded. But I advise, or it is recommended, that you always write it on, press enter it makes it clearer, it makes it much more understandable like this. To write another one again, you take like this, font size should be, let me give it 25 like I gave the one under, 25 pixels, semicolon. and save. So look at it now. So the difference between these two texts now, this text and this one, is just the color, which I intentionally changed it because of I wanted us to see the difference. So before I continue, any question? Mr. Francis?
Was you can go ahead and ask your question, please.
All right. It's not that I have a question or anything like that. I said it earlier that hope this session is recorded, and you said yes. I would say that I was a little bit lost when it comes to this
It's recorded.
CSS, but I believe when I go through the recap video again, I should be able to level up with it.
Okay. But which part are you
Mm.
lost when it comes to CSS?
No, it's just like the procedure that you
Okay.
know, there was a break before I was able to come in, so you proceeded, but I believe you said this thing is recorded. I have
It's
my
recorded.
system here. I'm charging it to it, then I can
Okay.
like go along with it from
Okay.
the yeah.
Okay. Any other hand? I'm seeing Chijioke.
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask. Uh, you made mention of commenting out when you were writing HTML, when you were
Yes.
using HTML. Can you now? I want to ask. Can you also comment out when you are using CSS element?
Yes. In every
Okay, you can.
in every programming language, there's always a means to comment out. Now, I'm in the. This is
Okay.
HTML body. This is HTML body. If I want to comment out, I'll have to use a comment like this, a commenting out like this and this, because this is HTML body. But when it comes to CSS, like this is inside CSS,
Okay.
let me comment out this line. It's going to be slash star slash star slash. See, it's green. It's commented out. So if I save this
Okay.
now, the font size is going to change. Let me save it. Control S. Font size goes back to normal because this one now it doesn't affect it anymore. So every programming language has its own means of commenting.
Okay. Now, secondly, please, when you comment out the content. Is it lost or is saved something?
It's not lost. It's just there, but your browser now overlooks it. It doesn't consider
Okay,
it. It doesn't
it will be
process
hidden
it.
from.
It sees it. It
Oh.
sees it, but it doesn't process it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So whenever you want to use it, you continue from there, right?
Yes, if you want to use it, you just go and remove those comments. Now your browser will say, okay, let me use it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Like this
Thank
line.
you
If I
very
want
much.
to use this, if I want to use this line now, maybe this one now, I will just remove this and remove this.
And you continue.
Yes. Once it's no longer
Okay.
green, yeah, it's okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I don't know if there's any other person.
Is there any other question, or should we go ahead?
Okay, I'm going ahead. No hand. Let me continue.
Go ahead.
So if we look at this, anything I do to P, it affects all the P tags I have except this one. This is because of the inline. Inline are more recognized first before going any other place. So, but now, what if I don't want this to have the same styling as this? Because what is happening here is paragraph. I'm just telling it paragraph. Give it this formatting. Give it this style. Now it's going through all the paragraph. Even if I add another paragraph here, it's still going to go through it and give it the same formatting. So what if I don't want that? I just want this first paragraph now to have it. What do? I need to give it an ID or a class. An ID, that's to identify the paragraph different from other paragraphs. For example, this paragraph now, I need to give it an ID, like a name, so that when I call that name, you know that if I'm giving a style to any paragraph and I say, sorry, Francis, use this for your style, it's going to use it only for it. So I'm going to give it a name here called ID equal, let me just call it a name. Let me just call it a name. Sorry, Francis, let me use Francis so that it will look like a name. ID Francis. This has not done anything, it has not changed anything. I just gave it a name. So that if I come here now to my CSS and say ID is called, to access an ID, use a hash Francis. To access an ID, you use a hash to call it. Then you write your CSS. It's going to target only where it says Francis on your code. That's the only thing it's going to style with this formatting. So let me save it. Okay, it did not style it. I think I'm using the hash somewhere else. I'm coming to it. ID hash. No, it's not there. Let's check together. I don't use ID, I use class. You can either give it an ID or give it a class. ID or class is almost the same thing. Class, let's say class Francis. When you come here to access the class, you use a dot. And if I save, maybe it's not going Francis. Let me check the spelling. Okay, there's no N here. That's why. Francis, I save. It's back. So let me use the ID back. The ID, I think it should be correct. Let me use ID. ID will make sense now since you are just beginning. ID equal to Francis. I just give it an ID number. I can give it a number or anything, but the ID name is Francis. Then to access it, just use hash. I think this is okay. I've never used this before, but it's okay. I don't know if you are following, but now you see it doesn't style this because this class, this ID is not here. It's not on the other one. It's not here. I just gave the ID here. So this ID now with this style, anywhere it sees ID, any element that has ID will have that style. So for example, let me come here, this is our link, and write that ID. Let me see something. This is our link. Now it's not only on paragraph, or I'm not dealing only on paragraph. I'm coming to a link now, and I'm going to write ID equal Francis, and I save. So look at our link. The link is the same with this paragraph. So anywhere you write your style, maybe your style, you give it an ID, then you go back to your text, your work, anywhere you call that ID, it's going to give it that style, the same style as you have here above. I don't know if it's understood. There should be a question. If it's not yet understood, I go over it again. Mr. Francis, are you there?
Okay, Mr. Terence, thank you so much. But a quick one, I don't know how possible, how time we allow. Can you just, with what you've done so far with the CSS, Is it possible you can just do a quick example of what Stella asked us to do?
Yes, that's why I went to this styling, so that we can be able to style the elements individually. I just want you to understand how this class works, this ID works, so that we can be able to style the elements as we want.
Okay.
If you see, we are already getting there. If you see, we are already getting there. It's just about styling now. But I want us, in case we are styling this, let's not just style all the images at once. We may want to make these images bigger, or make these images have a black border, make this one have a red border, but if we don't use class to individually pinpoint those images, we will not be able to achieve what we want. We're going to have a general something which is not too good. But I don't know if we've understood what we mean by ID. I can still go over it again if we are confused.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Go.
Okay, let me go over the ID again. Okay, the first thing we had here was just P, right? P, and the ID was not there. Where is it? Okay, this ID was not here. I'm going to remove this, and it was like this. Now, this is inline CSS. Inline. I've styled it. I hope this is clear. This inline CSS is clear. I don't want us to write inline CSS. It's going to be confusing. It's going to confuse you. Now, this is internal CSS, not external. Internal CSS. Now, we want to style this. We want to style this paragraph. So we'll come to our internal CSS and say P, which is paragraph. We give it the style. This is the format. Value, property value, property value, property value. Make sure you put semicolon at the end. Property value, property value. So, can someone mute somebody? Okay, property value, property value. So we're telling our style that for every P in our page, for every P is paragraph. For every paragraph, give it this style. That's color green, font width, that's bold, make it bold, font size, make it 25. So this thing is going to check our code. It's going to check our code. This is the first P it sees. It's going to give it that styling. It's going to go again. This is another P. Why it's not going to give it that styling is because this P already has inline CSS and it sees inline CSS first, as in it's going to take it, give it high priority. It's going to say, okay, no, there's already somebody bigger than me, let me go move to the next. So it's going to leave inline CSS to do its job there. That's why it did not affect it. Inline CSS has a higher priority, so it's going to jump and go again. This is another P. It's Lauren Easton, and it ends here. So all of this line now is another P, everything here. So it's still going to give that styling to this, but we don't want that. If we are styling maybe we are styling a paragraph, it's styling all the paragraph, or maybe we are styling a heading. This heading 1 now is styling all the heading 1s in our page. It doesn't make sense. Sometimes you may want this heading 1 to be green while the other one red. You may want this heading 1 to have green background while the other one should not even have background. It doesn't make sense to just write P. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to just write P. Or you can style it with H1, for example. H1. If I say H1, it's going to target all the H1s in my file. Let me save it. Look at it. This H1 now. It has targeted it, made it green, made it bold, made it 25 pixels. That's why it's even smaller than the H1. So now it's green. Now, what if we have other H1s? This is the H1 we just styled now with this, because it's H1. What if we have other H1s? Maybe after this image we have another H1. This is the second H1. I save. See, it's still going to size it green, but I don't want this one to be green. I want this one to remain black, but my style is telling me that all the H1s should be green. That's why we have to find a way to differentiate the two. That's to give it a name, so that if I say, okay, go and style Francis, it comes here and style Francis. Go and style Terence, it comes here and style Terence. You understand? So all these things needs to have names. All these things needs to have names, no matter what. But from next week, next 2 weeks, you start giving all your tags names. Maybe by that time you'll be using divs only. Anytime you want to write a div, you must give it a name. Just give it a name, even if you are not making use of it. There will be a time you come and style it. There will be a time you make use of it. So for now, what I'm trying to say is, we should give this a name and give this a name, so that if we are styling, we will say, okay, Terence, this is your style, and Francis, this is your style. If you have the ID Francis, this is your style. If you have the ID Terence, this is your style. Yeah. Let me add another one more heading here. See. Control V. Okay, Control S. I've added another one more heading here. See, any heading one on my page is style green and it doesn't seem okay. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to give them a name, and that name I'm going to call them ID, like an ID number, identification number. The first one is this. Let me give it an ID of ID. I call it ID. I can call it style 1, or anything at all. This one I can call it style 1. So if I write a CSS, maybe I use style 1, give it this style. It's going to give it only to where I have this ID style 1. Let me come here to this one and write style 2 equal to, no, not style 2, sorry, ID equal to style 2. Let me check what I wrote here. ID equal to style 1. Okay, then this now should be ID equal to style 3. You can use any ID you like, any one at all, and I save. Okay, now let me come back here, remove this. I'm removing this H1. If I remove this H1, it's not going to be styling all the H1s again. I'm removing the style entirely. Control S. Okay, I'm making sure I'm still recording. Control S. Now all the headings have gone back to black. Now I want to style this H1. What is the ID given to that H1? This is the ID name. So I want to style it. I'm not going to use H1, because if I use H1, it's going to style all the H1 on my page. I'm going to use that ID. So the ID name is style 1. But if you are referring to an ID, use a hash first, then style 1. This hash just tells you that, okay, it's an ID. There are other elements that will go here, like class. With class you use dot, but now let's not go there. It's the same thing, but let's not go there first. So when you use hash, it's going to tell you, okay, you are looking for an ID. Style. You put this. I always like to give a space here, it doesn't matter, and I put enter, so that my codes will flow well. ID, which is this style 1. Let me give it a font. No, let me give it color of green, and I save. Let me save it. Control S. So this is now green, because I just said in my style 1. That means I'm telling it anything with this style 1 give it this screen. So if I still come here and take this style 1, maybe this is style 2, if I change it to style 1, and I save, see this now becomes green. All of them are using the same reference, just like a link to your source. If you are doing your project in school, at the end you put your link, your references. So this is just like a reference. I call you from style, go to style and give me this formatting. So if I don't need this green here, I give it another name, maybe style 2. I'll have to come here in my CSS and say, okay, what do I need to do to my style 2? I give it another styling, style 2. What should be your styling? Should be different from style 1, maybe color red, Control S, you see style 2. So what if I need to style another something? Let me style image. Let me style, you see I have so many images here, so many images. I have so many images. Let me style image, or come here and style image, img. You can actually use the name of the tag like h1p to style it, but if you're using the name, just the label here or this to style it, you are giving it a general name, like what we did with h1. It's a general, that's going to style all the images as I'm using img. Let me show you what I mean. This image, what can we do to image? You can give it a border, you can give it a border width of, that's the width of the border. Let's give it 5 pixels. It's not going to show, but it's there. There are some combinations of things you need to give to border for image to show. Give it border color, you need to give it a color to see it. Border color, let's give it green. Save, you not see it, and you have to give it a border style solid. Border style, solid. Control S, see what happens. These 3, if I remove this one now, Control X and do Control S, it's going to be black normally. If I remove this one, let me put it back. If I remove this one now, the border width, Control X and S, is going to be normal. Well, you can actually just give it a border style solid. That means you can actually just give it a border style solid, Control S, to have a border. But let me say I need a border color. Border color should be green. Okay, let me leave it like this. So if you check these images under, you see all of them have border color green, but I don't want it that way. I just want to put this one green, then this one maybe I will use border colors to be black, or maybe green, red, yellow, or green, white. But everything now is just going in for anything. Anytime you see image, give it this border. Anytime you see an image, give it this border. So what do we do? I want someone to tell me what you should do. So now let me know we are following, all of us. Can somebody tell me what we do? Can somebody hear me?
I think, yeah, I can hear you. I think what you have to do is to something, or you just did it the last time. You did it with the heading tag of this tag.
What did you say?
You just did it now with the
with the heading.
the header.
Okay, it's
Yeah, with the head.
just to give it its own name, so that if we call the name,
Yeah.
we know we are styling it alone. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come to our first image, which is this image. This image. I'm going to go to our first image. This is it, and I'm going to give it a name. I'll call it ID equal, I'm going to give it a name, which is the ID equal first image. Okay, I save. It's not going to change anything now because I've not written the CSS of what the first image does. So to call that first image, you put a hash and the same name. If it's not the same name, it will not show. First image, then space, curly bracket, open and close, and we'll start writing our CSS. Let me give it border style, or border style solid. Yes, and border color should be, let's give it red. Now this is an ID. This ID is going to take precedence over the general styling of images. This one we have given it a specific style to come to this image. It's our first image, and apply this style. So you're going to take precedence. Let me save it, and you see this is red, but the other ones will be green because we've not given it a specific style. We just what they still have is, what they are using is all images. They are still using this one because we've not given it any particular style, ID to say okay, ID this or this. Okay, we can still use that same ID on this ID. Let's give it the ID first image. The ID first image. Yes, if we save it now, you'll notice that this first image is going to take the same styling as this one because both of them have the same ID or the same CSS ID name. So let me save it from somewhere else. Let me save it. Okay, this is the first image. This is the image I'm styling. Actually, the second one. This is where I am. The second one. This is the first. So the second one has taken that same styling as this one. Okay, so that is the use of ID. Now let's go into styling our project the way we are supposed to do it. I'm going to give this a background color to make our page have a background color, and everything in our page goes into body. Everything in our page goes into body. So if I go to this body now, this is body. If I give it an inline CSS, for example, style equal background color, background color, gray, and save. See what happens. Our background color is now gray. But now I told us before, I don't like using inline CSS because it's going to make everything choked up. So this same background color gray, I'm going to move it to our CSS style, which is this inside here. Let me just put it at the top. This is it. Let me put it at the top. Body, because I'm accessing an element, it's going to affect all the body, everything in the body. Background color, maybe if I say yellow and save, see how it is. See how it is. So even if you submit this to Mr. Skyline, it actually goes like what he did before. It actually looks like what he has done before, because at least we have implemented all those things he has been talking about, the break, the border, all those things he was talking about. I've implemented it here, but we can still go a step further. This yellow doesn't really look good on pages at all. Light. Let me use this light gray. Control S. This is better. This is a color here actually. Light gray. We can actually make all fonts family from this is we are working on body. That's everything on the page. Font family. Font family is the if you are using Microsoft Word. Let me see something. Let me see if I can open Microsoft Word here. Okay. No problem. If you're using Microsoft Word and they say somebody say use font type, I call it font type or font face. Is it font face or font type? I call it font type. Some people okay. Yes, they call it font type in Microsoft Word. You can have Calibri, you can have Cambria, you can have New Time Romance. Some people are familiar with New Time Romance. Let's change the font type of this our website to New Time Romance. It's called Font Family. Now I'm doing this in the body because I want everything in body, everything in our page to have this same font family. Font family. New Time. This is it. I click on it. New Time Romance. So anytime you see font family, you see a font, and you still see comma, see another font, and you see comma, see another font. The first font is going to use is this. Now, if something happens and it cannot access this font, it's going to go jump to this font. I use this font. If something happens, it cannot get another font, it's going to jump to this font. I use this font. So that is it. Let me put my semicolon. Let me save. Control S. That means it was using New Time Roman. Okay, let me use Calibri. Okay, let me just use Calibri like this. I'm not sure I spelled it correctly. Or let me use area. Sans serif. See the way it changed. So let me see if I have Roboto. Let me just use this. I don't know. Control S. See the way it's changing the font. Now there are so many of them here. I didn't type them. What I knew was I just typed one and it gave me so many. It's giving related. I think it's related font types, so that if the first one doesn't show up, maybe because of network, and if you are loading it from outside, maybe there are so many. Very soon we'll get to that. There are so many fonts you can get online. If you are just loading it from outside, from online, if it doesn't see this one is going to jump to this one, and it's going to jump to this one. If it doesn't see it, it will jump to this one, just like that. So if you can check very well, our font has been changing. Now if you look at your page, let me put a color such that we'll see something. I want to put this. We are doing this on the body, so it's affecting everything on the page. If I do, for example, here font, no, if I do, for example, I do color and do blue, it's going to change the font of my page, everything to blue. But anyone with an ID is going to leave it out, because ID is more specific. Let me come and say S. You see, this one doesn't have an ID. I have not styled this one yet, but I've styled this one with an ID. Style this one with ID. These two the same. This I've not styled this one at all. That's why it's giving it blue. It's telling it everything in body, give it color. Blue color affects only text. I don't know why they did not call it text color. they just call it color, but it's supposed to be text color. Just see it as text color. So that's why it's changing everything to blue. This is not just a text, it's a link. This is the name, this is the color of a link. If you want to access the color of a link, you have to target it normally to as a link is A, the A tag. So you give it a color, maybe color red. You access it normally, Control S. So you see it's red. So CSS is just like this. You design it. You can remove this underline on it. You can say text decoration none. I don't want it to decorate the text. The underline will go. You see, you can make it italics. Font, how do we do that italics again? Font style. Italics is there already. I can just italics and save. You see, it's now italics. So it's just like that. If we have more than one link, now everything will have this style. But if I don't want everything to have this style, I will have to go and give it a class where it is. I'll have to come there. This is it. Give it an ID. Okay, this is an ID of Francis. Or is an ID is already there when I gave it the last time. I can just come here and call that Francis. What is it? And call that Francis, because it's an ID. I use hash and do Francis. And if I do S, it's not going to change because it already has that class of Francis. See, it did not change anything. It's still using the same Francis because it has that ID of Francis in it. But if I remove anything from this Francis now and S, it's not going to see this class. That's why it has changed back to this. It's not going to see this class. So I'm putting the S again. Okay, see this text here. Let's give it a background. Oh, we are still on the body. We are still on the body. Sorry, let me go back to the body and show you what I wanted to show you. Body. Okay, body. Let's give it a background color of there's something I wanted to show us. Let's give it a background color of blue. No, not blue. Purple. Background color purple. Okay, the background color is purple. Now, why is my image, have you asked yourself before, why is my image, my text, everything not going to start at the wall? Look at the wall. It's not starting at the wall. There's a small space here. What if I want you to actually start at the wall? What happens? Even my break, see my break, it's not starting at the wall. What happens? That's because the body gives a margin from the wall of 8 pixels by default. So we can actually remove that by saying margin on the body. Margin, if we say maybe margin 60 pixels, Control S. We have not put px, sorry, pixels, Control S. See, it shifts everything 60 pixels, both left and right. If we say margin equal to maybe 100 pixels, it shifts everything. You can actually use percentage, maybe 20% or 30%. It gives a percentage of the screen. Control S. For example, from here to here is 30% of your entire screen. From here to here, it's also 30% of entire screen. So your entire screen like this is 100%. So if you use percentage, it divides it into percentages. So if you look at it, that's actually giving a margin of 30% from here, top and bottom, all 4 ways. So our second class, I taught us how to use this margin. You can say margin top, margin bottom, margin left. So maybe if we just do margin left on it and margin right, margin right, margin right 30 pixels, same 30. No, let me make it 20. No, let me make it 15 pixels, 15%, sorry, and margin left 15%. Now it's 15% of the screen from left to right. From here to here is 15%, from here to here 15%, and it also looks good such that if you are zooming out, it still maintains its 15%. See, it's making it responsive. Zooming out is making it responsive. So if you want it to touch the wall directly, you use a margin. The margin should be 0. You can just put 0 there. 0, for example, I use margin left to be 0. Control S. You now see that our image is touching the wall, which was not like that before. The default is 8 pixel. By default, it will be 8 pixel. So if I don't use margin left at all, you assume default Control S to be 8 pixel. That's why you have this small gap here. Okay, let me use our normal previous background, because this background is not good at all. Okay, light gray, Control S. Okay, this background is better. This text here is style 1, right? Let's check the text. Okay, cohort 11 project, which is style 1. Let's go back to style 1 and give it a background. Style 1, give it a background color of let's call it, okay, let's give background color of green. Control S. Now the text is green, the background color is green, that's why you cannot see. So let's give it the text white. Font color, that's color white. So what is it? This thing now is blue. It's supposed to be normally black. You cannot leave a text like this blue. You cannot leave a text like this blue. So we can go back to body and say body color of all text in the body should be gray. There's actually if you write a color here, you can actually come here and okay, let me put this gray so that we see how it looks like. Look how it looks like. You can actually come here and pick the color we want. Like this. It's not supposed to be very black to me. Let me look at this and see the way it's changing the color codes for you. Control S. Okay, so that's how it is. Color codes. This RGB stands for red, green, blue. This red ends at 255, green ends at 255, and blue ends at 255, and that will be white. So if you combine red, green, blue, the highest color of red, green, blue, the highest intensity is going to be white. It's going to form white. If you reduce everything to 0, 0, 0, it's going to be black. So this now just determines how much red, how much green, and how much blue we have in this color. That is giving us this color you see here. So that's how this works. So I don't know if there's any question, because I think we have done a lot. From this you can use it to style any other thing you want to style on this.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to appreciate you. This is like a different way, and think it's even because we understand better when Skyline gives us CSS. We know the value of what we have us to this right. But I need to do something because I think I'm not the only one that may be in need of this. I need you to in your VS Code.
Yes.
Particular work you did,
Yeah.
I want you to just because you're sharing your screen, I need you to go up from the start and then slowly take it down to the last code. So that whenever we are whenever we are maybe watching this vocab section, we want to use it for a practice or something, we can see exactly all the codes you're using here. So just go up and then slowly
Without explanation, right?
no, don't explain. Yes, without explanation. Just go up and then
Okay.
come down slowly.
This is the start of it.
Okay, yes.
Slowly. You can always pause the video, kwa.
Yes.
Sometimes it's good to have something introduced to you so that when actually you see it again, you know, oh, this is what that person was talking about, and you're going to stick very well.
Yes.
So this, all of this thing you see here is just a bunch of text separated with BR to give new line. Just a bunch of text. You can just put one paragraph there. So this is HR, which is the line. This line. So that is it. That is the code for this.
All right, thank you. Because I needed that to be sure of
floor and adjust something there, and everything will just change. So I think I just leave it now for leave it at that now and go through the video again. I think I'll get it better.
Go on.
Okay, let me just throw something. Please, who was talking? Is it Chichoke?
No.
No, it's Suzoma.
Okay. It's like you're in a class now, and a teacher wants to call a student. You're in a class, and the teacher says, "Boy, stand up." There are so many boys in the class. You understand? So if the teacher just says, "Boy, stand up," all the boys will stand up. But if the teacher says, "Okay, boy with the ID Francis, stand up," only that boy will stand up. Boy with the ID Francis, take this color. Only that boy will take the color. So that is how it works. So if you just go to your style and say P, you maybe P, which is paragraph, and give it a bunch of styles. All the P's in your web page will have that style, but you don't really want it that way. So you have to give ID, which is like a name, to all the P's or all the boys in your class. Give them different names, so that if you are calling a boy, you are styling a boy, you style that name you've given it. Say, okay, you with this name, this is your own style. That's how it works.
Okay, and to add to that as well, I also felt that was why I asked him to kind of go record the screen from top to the bottom part, so that we can easily know where a key in all those data, you understand? So he has done that. So when we go through the video, the breakdown, it will be easy for us to understand what he is.
So if you are going through the video, you notice that this ID style 3, there's no way I styled it in my CSS. I did not call it. That's why the ID style 3 still remains like this, which is the default. I did not style it, but I gave it an ID. But I did not call it. I did not give it any style. So when you're watching the video, you understand better. Any other question?
For me, I would like to.
Okay, my able leader, please, I would like to make a suggestion, because from my observation, the ladies in this cohort, I don't think if any of them is following at all. So I don't know how we want to do to get them really involved, because right from all the sessions, I've not seen any contribution from any lady in this our cohort. So yeah, a special plan for them to really follow up.
Okay. Why?
Cohort leader, you're breaking.
Yeah.
Since you're breaking.
Okay. Is it good now?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's better.
I will leave and rejoin. So
You want to leave and rejoin?
Okay.
Oh boy, this is good, and I just wish that this was in Lagos. It's unfortunate that it's not in Lagos.
And I've
I
never
don't
been to
know.
Lagos.
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh yes, we can. Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
I connected to my cell phone, so, and my system as well, so I was getting it all back. But to your question, I think so far when it comes to attendance, it's been probably Hustlers, and then I think the other lady, Adebutu, right? That's the name. I think they try to at least be present uh, whenever we have classes, but like you said, participation is not really encouraging for them. But at some point, favor, please thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, continue. Okay, yes, okay. So at some point, favor, I had a chat with her. She wanted to set up her VS code, so I had a chat with her some days ago. I sent her the video Skyline sent to us for us to know how to install and then use VS Code. I sent her the video. So I believe she was able to get it installed in her system. So, but when it comes to participation, I think I see it's left to me to make extra effort. Maybe tomorrow I will chat them up or call them to know if they are having any difficulty. But I think it's a collective effort, so we all have to really show interest and get involved. So I would want to know if they are having any difficulties, maybe know if there is any challenge as regarding why they maybe don't join up or why they don't stay to the end of class, because I don't think there is any female there. So when they give me any feedback, I will communicate to the group. Then we will collectively know how we can do better to we can carry everybody along. So, but that's a very good collaboration, because I quite enjoy that as well. Like as we printed it out, I will make a plan for see to use the evolution.
Okay. Finally, April leader, I think concerning the charge the data for parents, is it? I want to suggest you drop your account number so that we can credit you instead of
I'm going to stop
dropping the
recording.
number. Oh yes, please, thank you.